Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian at Whisper Status 74. This will be a quick video review of Extraction, which is currently on Netflix. Before we start, if you have kids, they see Thor's face and you're recommended on Netflix, do not let them click on it. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian at Whisper Status 74. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the channel. If this is the first time you're seeing me, please consider liking and subscribing. The reason I joke about this in the very beginning of this review as this is an extremely violent film, and my own kids saw it in my queue, saw Thor, and thought to themselves, oh, I'm going to fire this one up. They didn't get to. I actually put off watching this, and I'll explain why. But quickly, I wanted to give you that quick disclaimer, as I'm typecasting him already by calling him Thor once in this review. I'll do it more and more. But this film is very interesting to me, and I am very much recommending it to you. Typically, I'll recommend films on this channel due to their picture quality. The film itself, I'll do deep dives into certain films. This will not be a deep dive. This will be actually quick for my videos, but I wanted to get this out, and I'll do some editing and I won't mention the actors' names, the actors that I don't know. I'll recommend them in the movies that they're in, but this is a very good film. I liked it. It was fun, action-packed. First, why I stayed away from it. I stayed away from it simply because Chris Hemsworth, I call him Chris Hemsworth, Thor, love the guy, liked him long before he played Thor, saw him in a lot of other roles, like his presence, like him as a person. He seems to be a great guy. But for me, I do get fatigued from certain actors. Right now, The Rock is the one I'm the most fatigued with. Jason Statham, a lot of these guys that I've seen over the years in Too Many Things. I was feeling that way about my boy here and heard some good things about it. Didn't read much about it, just kind of heard some good things about it and decided to watch it. I was very impressed, very happy with it. The reason why I did watch it was made by Sam Hargrave, who you know as a stuntman who's worked on your favorite films, the Marvel films, Deadpool 2. And seeing how that worked for films like John Wick, it did intrigue me. So I gave it a watch, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. I really liked the film. Now, when I watch films, not just for myself, but for picture quality, for the channel, what I do first is I watch them on my 1080p plasma or projector without HDR in 1080p, and then I go and watch it on either HDR10, which my Sony here has, or Dolby Vision, which this Sony here also has. The reason I do that is I want to see it in its purest form without HDR, and then when I see HDR, if HDR grabs me, it's the first thing I want to recommend to you. When I don't see a huge difference between the two, I don't bother doing reviews on them. This movie has amazing HDR. I was very happy with the way the image looked. Back quickly into the movie. I liked the movie. Very exciting. Amazing fight scenes. Chris Hemsworth in the film, he's such a physical guy anyway. He's a big guy, unlike a lot of the actors that we see in Hollywood today. It's not all martial arts, but like John Wick, the action is very physical. You can feel it. And it has that violence which makes you go, oh, damn, whoa. And it has the physicality that just makes you sit back going, oh, oh, oh. That kind of violence and that kind of action is almost its own comedy. It does make you laugh. And you're like, oh, my damn, wow. Is entertaining at its base. It has a good little story. It's got this young kid in it who was actually very good. It wasn't the trope of a young, cute kid or a cute girl. He's a teenager. He gets kidnapped. Drug lord wants him. He gets kidnapped by one drug lord, and Chris Hemsworth and his team get hired. That's about as much of the story as I'll go into, but I like that character. He looks very basic, Chris Hemsworth character. He is a cool character. He looks like Thor, but he just looks rough in this film. He's as built and as lean as he normally is, but his physicality just looks worn out. He does look like a veteran. He looks like he has been through hell, both physically and psychologically. And it is one of those films where the action takes its toll, much like John Wick. As he gets beat up, he looks beat up. He feels beat up. You feel tired watching him get beat up. And the action just has that, the sound. It does have Atmos support. The sound, the hits, the destruction in the environments isn't silly. I mean, there are some silly moments where you're like, damn, that can't happen. But they do stay in reality, much like John Wick, with being very tactical and moving around and reloading. It has that feel. At the same time, as the movie's progressing, it does have that modern warfare, Call of Duty feel, as if you're playing one of those better campaigns from back in the day. You do feel like you're popping out the legs. There's a lot of headshots in this movie. It's not really gratuitous violence. It's just violent by impact. There's just a lot of things happening, a lot of headshots. It's not Rambo violent. There's no real decapitations or anything like that, but it is thrilling. And it is fun. It isn't that Fast and the Furious nonsense kind of animation everywhere. There are a lot of practical effects. There are some CGI moments with the crashes and things like that. For the most part, it was very, very good. The cast was very, very good. I'll list their names here somewhere on the screen, as I didn't really want to go through all that. I want to just deliver this to you as we are in this this time right now, and I'll bring you as much content as I possibly can. I recommend this film. It is very good. It is surprisingly deep. The action, he's excellent at Chris Hemsworth in it. The kid is great. The guy that plays opposite him, the other Spec Ops guy, who is also an actor from India, was phenomenal. He had a great presence, a great physical presence about him too. If they ever remake what's the movie I'm thinking about with Antonio Banderas? Desperado. If they ever remake that movie, he would be an excellent casting choice for that. And also the actress from Body of Lies with Leonardo DiCaprio. She's been in other films as well. She was very good in this. I'd love to see her in more as well. This has this action / Slumdog Millionaire / John Wick vibe. It is very good. I watched it twice. Again, back to the picture quality. Watched it on my plasma. I love plasma. I love its natural look. I enjoyed the image on plasma and on 1080p. Half of that film I watched on a projector just to get a feel for 1080p. Then watched the entire thing again. Watched a little bit of it on my HDR10 and then on Dolby Vision Sony 950H. The HDR in this movie is phenomenal. The presentation is phenomenal. On 1080p and on plasma, it's a very natural. It has a filmic look. It is very beautiful. It jumps off of the screen in Extraction on 4K and in Dolby Vision. I watched it on Dolby Vision Bright on my Sony and HDR10. I like the Dolby Vision better. HDR10 is still excellent. But what I like about the picture quality, very clean image. And this movie is bound to have grain galore, whether it's real or artificial, simply because of the smoky environment. The sun, it has that very sun, kind of Black Hawk Down look to it. It is in the streets, and it doesn't have that. It's not clear as something like, say, Gemini Man, but it's clear enough to where if you wanted to add advanced contrast enhancer or dynamic contrast on some of your displays, you could easily do it. It's that high quality. It's very clean without being distractingly clean. It does have a couple soft moments, but they are 2 seconds long. The rest of the film is crystal clear. But where HDR really jumps in here is the specular highlights of the sun poking through, the things that you see like in video games, the God rays. You see so much more of that on the 4K release than I saw on my plasma. Again, love plasma. This is on a whole nother level. There is very bright scenes where you're kind of looking away. You have all the muzzle flare. You have all of the explosions, all the typical specular highlights. But the highlights that I see in this film that made me the most impressed were just the cinematography, just the locations, the locales, the sun coming through the windows. And as far as texture detail, this movie is filmed with it. You can just see him in it, his hair, his face, everybody's facial hair, everybody's beard, their clothing, blood. The film is very, very violent. But in that violence, you see all the texture of 4K that I don't see in the 1080p release. The scabs, all the cuts, the wear and tear, the clothing, the dirt, sweat, all that is seen here. And the colors that are added to the 4K and Dolby Vision and HDR10 are what really sets it apart. I love this movie. I really, really enjoyed it. And I am not somebody that enjoys a lot of new films. I just mentioned it before. I get very tired of the same actors over and over. This film also does not have the tropes of unwanted comedy. It is not that slapstick. There is some comedy kind of pushed in. You'll see the guy from Stranger Things put in there kind of needlessly. Tired of seeing him too, but he's in there somewhere. There's a couple soft moments. For the most part, it's a very serious film. The film is definitely going to be held back by the fact that Chris Hemsworth is in it. And I think people are going to do exactly what I did and not bother with it. Even though I like his other films, it's definitely something to watch. It's rated #1 on Netflix. I'm clearly not ahead of the curve on it. But if you're a lot like me, and many of you in the community are, you'll skip this. Don't skip it. Watch it. It is awesome. But the HDR in it is amazing. Especially those of you with Dolby Vision. You are absolutely going to love it. The colors, like the sun-drenched colors, those colors you'll see in a Gladiator, that gold, the yellow. In many films, they can just wash out and all be one color, which is how it looked in 1080p. The definition and the dimension you see in the Dolby Vision and the HDR10 is what 4K and HDR is all about. All of the marketing behind HDR is what this is about. The different colors on their clothing, different shades of green, different shades of gold, different shades of blood and explosions and shootings. It is all here, and it is the entire film. Excellent film, very fun, action-packed, and there are going to be some moments. The car chase is unbelievable, and I hope you think of this review if you watch it, because there are moments where people are getting hit by cars. You're like, oh my God. It's its own comedy. Not to say that violence is funny, but the scenes where you're just like, oh, damn. This film has that, and it's its own comedy. And it does, by the end of it, you feel achy and you feel beat up. I enjoyed the film very much. Give it a look. I hope everybody is doing well. Again, I'll be pushing out more content during this time. I want you guys to have something almost every single day to distract you from what is happening out there. I hope you're safe. I hope you're doing well. Check out Extraction. It's going to be in your queue. It's going to be rated #1. There is a lot of things out there to watch. I'm watching a lot of things, but when I come across something that I enjoy, not just from a picture quality standpoint, but a film standpoint, this is the film. Chris Hemsworth, real quick, his nature, him as an actor, I've seen the guy interviewed a million times. He seems like a great guy. What I like about him is his physicality. As an actor, he just seems like one of the good guys. And even as he portrays this role, he was so good as Thor. You are going to have to separate yourself from that character. It'll be separated within the first 3 or 4 minutes. When the violence starts, you're like, damn, Thor wouldn't do that. He is just very cool. And I hope he does more films like this and he doesn't get typecast, as I typecasted him myself, and I feel bad for doing it. But he was phenomenal in this. Check it out. Love you guys. Check out Extraction. I will talk to you soon. Take care.